What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Cards and Coffee. Nationals is just around the corner, and so many people are scrambling to try to decide on a deck to bring. There are so many decks available now in the format. Dragon Link has always been one of the best decks for the last couple of years, honestly, and now with all the splashable engines we have access to, this deck is pretty insane. We'll go through the card by card, and I'll show you exactly what I'm playing and why I'm playing it. But first, before we go over all that, please go grab yourself a cup of coffee or something. That way you guys can sit down and tune in. Let's do this. Alright guys, so hopping into the deck profile, I think I'm going to take it engine by engine because, again, not only is Dragon Link an insane deck, but it gets to abuse some of the best engines in the game. So rather than just going through the monsters and the spells, I figured might as well lump the engines together. That way you guys get a broader picture of what the heck I'm up to. So starting things off for the dragons, first of course going to be 2 copies of Rocket Tracer, followed by 2 copies of Rocket Synchron, and 1 copy of Rocket Recharger. I think this lineup is pretty standard. Some people are playing 1 of the Synchron, which is totally understandable, but since we're playing the adventure package, really having any normal summonable tuner alongside it makes it to where you get full red rose combo for the most part. And again, while you might not see the adventure package every game, you have so many other extenders and combo pieces in this deck that even if you don't see that engine, you have so many combos you can flow into. Now, just like the Adventure Synchro deck, this is a Chaos Ruler deck. Of course, this has always been a Chaos Ruler deck even before the Punk stuff came out. But the fact that we have so many other engines that contribute to getting to Chaos Ruler as well makes it to where the Dragon Link engine alongside it is so insane. One other card we are playing alongside the Rockets is the Absolouter Dragon. This is very standard, and you could play 2. We do have a lot of discard outlets in this deck, so hard drawing, it's actually a pretty good thing, getting you access to your Tracer or even your Rocket Synchron. Again, Chaos Ruler is the name of the game, but of course you also want to set up the red rose combos. And I think that's what's so beautiful about this deck is really you have so many different lines that you could take your combos. The end boards are just insane. Now, to support the Rockets, we play 3 Quick Launch. Of course, this card's insane. This is the in-archetype teleport, and again, it's not once per turn either. It's very insane that this deck gets to play 6 emergency teleports, and all 6 of them are insane. For the last Rocket card, it's the Boot Sector Launch. Of course, the field spell you search, setting up all your Striker Dragon plays. And alongside the Rockets, of course, we're playing the Chaos Dragon engine, so we have 3 copies of Chaos Space alongside the white and the black. Again, very standard and very insane, and there's so much advantage that can be generated off these cards. For some of the other Dragon stuff that we're playing as a one of course, we're going to be playing the 1 Destrudo. Not everybody plays this, but I think this is just an amazing tuner extender that so happens to be a Dragon. We're also playing the Dragon Ravine, obviously, because we're going to be playing Romulus, so it's just another way to get into your Rocket engine, or even get you stuff like Destrudo established. And of course, like I said, the main combo for this deck is going to be your Red Rose package, so we're going to be playing 1 Red Rose, Rocks Rose, and the Basil Rose Shoot. Again, this is all pretty standard. Maybe you don't play Destrudo, maybe you only play 1 Synchron, but I think this, what you see in front of you, is pretty dang standard, and there's a reason why. This engine is so insane. So that's it for the Dragons. Again, by themselves, they are amazing, but when you start partnering them with all the crazy other engines we get to play, going first or breaking boards gets that much easier in this deck. Now, like I mentioned, we're playing a Punk engine, and it is pretty small. We're only going to be playing 1 copy of Xiamen, 1 copy of the Deer Note, and 1 copy of the Foxy Tune. I really don't want to draw these cards, and really, you could draw the Xiamen or the Foxy Tune and be perfectly fine. You really don't want to draw the Deer, but at the end of the day, what you're really trying to draw is the other copies of Emergency Teleport. I think it's no surprise that 1-card Chaos Ruler and Halka Fibrax is insane, especially in this deck because, again, milling all these dragons or adventure cards could really lead to a lot of free advantage that you really didn't have at the start of the game anyway. And of course, like I said, when playing into boards, being able to use stuff 1 card at a time to put a lot of pressure on your opponent makes for obviously a very crazy deck. So again, very small Punk engine, nothing too crazy, but alongside that, we are playing the Adventure package. Starting things off for the monsters, of course, we're going to be playing the 1 Griffin Rider, 3 of the Water Enchantress, 3 of the Rite of Aramesir, 1 Fateful Adventure, 1 Dracoback, and the 1 Foolish Burial. Again, all very standard. It's a 10-card engine that most decks are playing, and there's so much synergy, whether it's with the Teleport or the Dragon Links. It's really a no-brainer. Playing this engine in this deck just feels so free. Now, one thing I am doing a little bit different than some of the Dragon Link lists is I am playing a decent amount of hand traps. Hand traps can kind of clog your hand from time to time, so some players will play less to try to mitigate that. But in my opinion, with the new P.U.N.K engine and the Adventure engine in the deck, you have so many 1 and 2 card combos in your deck now that even if you draw 2 or even 3 hand traps, as long as you're seeing some of those other engines, you are less likely to break on just a hand trap. Not only that, most of the hand traps are tuners anyway, so if you have Adventure combo plus a hand trap, that's still full Hulk combo alongside it. So while it's not the craziest thing, hand traps still contribute to combos, so I figured why the heck not max them out? There are so many scythe decks running around that we just have to stop. So for the first hand trap, we are playing 3 copies of Ash Blossom. This is the only non-light or dark hand trap that can be added off of Chaos Ruler. Obviously, this card's insane, so I feel like we have to max it out at 3. There are just so many interactions in the game that this card can stop. After the Ash Blossom, we are playing 3 copies of Ghost Ogre. You could play 2 of this. It is a once per turn, but again, there are so many adventure decks running around that this card is so insane at stopping that engine. I think it's a really solid meta call right now because, in all honesty, the only deck it's actually kind of bad against is the Despia deck, which has been falling off in popularity. But for that reason alone, maybe Despia would be a good pick for Nationals as well. Let me know down below if you want to see my current list. After the Ghost Ogre, we are playing 3 copies of Effect Veiler. Again, just another light target. It's a tuner for our Houth plays. Now for probably the strongest hand trap right now, but also the most brickiest, that is 3 copies of Nibiru. Again, this is a light. It synergizes with Chaos Ruler and Chaos Space, but it isn't something we can normal summon to make Hulk, so there is that issue as well. But again, we have so many different ways to discard cards if it is clogging, but at the end of the day, I just felt like if I'm going to draw Nibiru, I'm going to want to make sure I'm at least playing enough hand traps to draw another hand trap alongside it. So for that reason, again, I felt 12 was a pretty decent number. That's it for the hand traps, and we're only playing 2 more cards in the deck, one of course being the Fairy Tale Snow. No, don't worry, I did not forget about this insane card in this deck. And the last card, of course, the Called by the Grave. Now moving on to one of my favorite parts of the deck, the extra deck. This deck is very similar to the P.U.N.K Synchro deck, where the extra deck is so toolbox, it is almost hard to not fall in love with it. So starting off for some of the standard Dragon Link stuff, obviously we're going to be playing 1 copy of Striker Dragon, 1 copy of Pisty, 1 copy of Romulus, and 1 copy of Halqifibrax. I think this is all pretty straightforward and standard. Pretty much every Dragon Link deck has been playing this for the last couple of years. I think the craziest part is obviously that the Red Rose Dragon has so much synergy not only with the dragons, but with all the other engines that we have in this deck as well. After the Hulk, I'm playing 1 of the Dark Charmer. This is kind of my tech slot of the deck. Personally, I think it's really great for extending and pushing through boards and even breaking boards with something like Access Code Talker. For the last Link 2, we are playing the 1 IP Masquerena. I'm not playing Seal, and you could easily add it in by cutting the Dark, but I just feel like more times than not I'm going for Borland, and Seals is never going to be in the extra monster zone for that. IP can basically accomplish the same thing. The scariest thing to run into in this deck is the Despia matchup, just because they can set Albaz and Contact Fuse with all your dragons. So being able to have something like IP to bring out our Unicorn and spin whatever set back makes it to where our first turn board is that much more secure. We do play 1 more Link 3 in the form of the Triple Burst Dragon. I really like this card. Obviously, you need it for your Pisty plays, but also it has some really cool battle tricks you can do with it as well. After that, it's just the powerhouses of the extra deck, the 1 Access Code and the 1 Borland Dragon. I think these cards are so insane in this deck because you have so many great engines that can help climb into these cards. So whether you're going first to put up a Towers-like monster or going second to just break a board and win, these cards really get the job done. Moving on to the Synchros, it's nothing too fancy, first being the Riser Dragon, primarily to dump the snow, but the fact that it lowers itself to level 3 while doing so makes it to where you can link this off into Striker or Pisty very easily. After that, we have the Chaos Ruler, of course, been playing this for forever in Dragon Link, and now with the added punks, it's that much easier to go into. We got the Boral Savage, of course. This card is insane, alongside the Hot Red, very standard interruptions for this deck. And lastly, of course, the 1 Baron de Fleur. I think this is very standard, and again, with our Red Rose combo, Baron is very easy to make. So that's going to about wrap things up for today's video. Again, test this deck out yourself. I think it is an insane choice for this year's Nationals. And look at it. There are just so many different power spells that you could start your combos off with or even extend with while playing through hand traps. Now again, if there's any other deck profiles you guys are itching to see, please comment down below. I'll gladly oblige. But until then, here's hoping to see you guys next time. Peace.